Okay. A little bit, maybe. Hello, cousins. We are just getting off the tail end of a pretty severe storm that just kind of rolled through. So my internet's been flickering a little bit. I've had some pretty good luck with it here recently. So I'm hoping that it holds. That things are holding here, and we get to hang out and have a good time a little bit. We were also ran a little bit long on social contract today. We were having a very lively discussion about many things and the hell that we live in going on. But that's what you get from us if you watch our main show, because we are always talking about basically whatever we want because we don't get paid for it. We don't have sponsorships and advertising. We just talk shit about shit, and that's what ends up happening. So yeah. Oh, let's do an adjust here. Gotta have our patron saint has to be in the shot, right? So yeah. So thanks for hanging out with me. Next week, I'm hosting solo. So if you want a double header of me, you can jump in on that and keep me company, and that's gonna be kind of fun. I'm hoping that everything kind of holds together here, and that it's broadcasting the way that it should be, and you can hear me and you can see me, because the internet did go down for a minute, but it looks like everything's basically pretty much chill at this point. So you can gonna get a whole lot of me now. So. But this is kind of my wind down time, and my way I get a little bit of extra mileage out of my makeup when I'm coming down off of a show. So um, hopefully you'll get to look at it for a little bit longer. If not, if I just disappear, I disappear. But essentially, what I've been doing here is that it's a little bit different. I've been doing a lot of recapping in the last couple of weeks, because this is now I'm sort of in a mode here. Like things are kind of working out, because I've adopted the technology that we use for the show. When I first started being told, like, I was revived my TikTok and was making videos, and they're like, hey, do some live. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll do some live. I do live all the time. So I get on my phone, I'm like, beep boop beep boop, and they're like, haha, no, go download the software on your computer. I was like, fuck, okay. So I go download the software. It was a big mess. It took forever, and it never worked properly, and I always hated it. It's always got this jingle jangling shit in front of my face. I don't know what's going on. So I just got to thinking, like, if I could broadcast to Restream like I use for the show on my other browser, then I can just simul to YouTube and TikTok at the same time. And anybody who wants to come hang out, hang out. Yeah, and it worked perfectly. So I've been doing that the last couple of weeks, and I'm sort of getting my bearings, because I was doing it for a few weeks beforehand, but it was fucking up, and I was still trying to figure out, like, oh yeah, like, talk about yourself and the things that you do, like, which is like not a natural thing. Like a lot of the time when like people are like make stuff, like nobody in their life is trying to hear about it. So like, what the fuck? Am I just gonna start talking about myself like a psychopath now? Like apparently the answer to that is yes, because that's what we do now when we're talking about raising our social credit scores. And especially if you're trying to get people to buy your stuff. So like that's basically where I'm at right now, is learn we're doing this together. It's happening all at the same time. So this is a little different in the way that I do it now, because it takes a day for the file to be available and then me download it. So what I do now is I used to be able to post the video of all of this like in the same day. So, but I have to wait till the next day. So now, if every day, and I've been doing it, not a full 2 months yet, I don't think, but I put out at least one video every evening. About and I say that, and then it's like, well, I put a promo on Tuesdays, but that's in the daytime. But anyways, that's semantics. Point is I put something out every day, and sometimes it's like kind of in the moment of what I'm doing or what's going on. But I also I treat my TikTok page like a channel where I make tiny shows. So I've been showing art, some progression videos of like how some of my paintings came together. That's a thing, a reoccurring show type of a thing that I do. Plus I also show videos of me painting, and I talk about little things about my books, And I have been recently, I'll do astrology, I'll turn some cards, that kind of stuff too. So there's some reoccurring like show type things. I do reviews on shows that I'm watching, movies and things like that, or like music events and stuff. So I have all that going on. And then just recently, the last few weeks, I started going through my record collection, which goes from 78s, 33s, 45s. I've got just tons, of records. And probably from, about the 20s to the 90s, I would say is the span that this covers. So I wanted to started to play some of that stuff. And now I actually have a screen share ability. It works a little bit different on this browser. I'm kind of still getting used to it, but I'll play you a little clip of what that looks like. And what we're gonna hope for the best here, because I can't see it. Like, this is a little different than the way that I normally do it, so I can't see it. You guys can see everything. It's very strange how this works. I want to share a window, but it never lets me do it. So we'll see here what it lets me show. Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna roll with it. But I'll show you a little clip here, assuming that it shows anything that I want it to show. Can you see? Can you see? Well, that's weird. Okay, I can't see it, so I'm going to just hope for the best here. But here's a little bit of a clip. I'm going to move it ahead. Because I don't want any. This is from 1933, but I still don't want any copyright issues, on my stream messing it up. So here's a clip of some music. Okay, I think you guys get the point on that. That one is an instrumental. Yeah, it looked like it was showing there. That one's an instrumental one. I'm going to pop back over here real quick, make sure there's nothing else I want to show you. But see, I like to put all the little liner notes on there about how it looks and what's going on. And yeah, that one's from 1933 from a Broadway musical called The Third Little Show. It was Spike Jones and his other orchestra, and it is called When Yuba Plays the Rumba on the Tuba. So, and that's 78. So on the things outside of like the 30s and 40s and stuff like that, I will probably only be able to play a clip. But oh yeah, here's something. I'm not going to play the music on this, but this is I shot a video the other night when there was a storm going through, so there's a little bit of lightning. So that just kind of shows what the kind of stuff is that I'm doing. Sometimes it's like an in the moment thing, sometimes it's a planned thing. But this is a good way for if you are into the kind of stuff I do, for you to be able to check in on like what my art I'm working on, my paintings, like to hear about my books. I just figured out a way. It's up here actually, isn't it? I just figured out, yeah, here we go. I just now figured out a way to be able to get show what I'm actually working on in my books. So this is a picture of my workstation that you're seeing, and I because it's like, how do you do a video of like, oh, I'm in the writing process, guys. Here it is. So I just kind of blurred up my notes, and then I posted a page of some dialogue and stuff. So if you're super into it, you can go over there and check it out. Okay, I think we got the picture here though. So yeah, stop sharing. Back to me. Okay, I kind of I'm figuring this out as we go. So you'd think I know this, but it seems to be a little different from browser to browser. In any case, that's kind of what I'm up to right now. I kind of had a bit of a slow week in terms of production because I talked about this last week, but I'd realized in the changing up of Sorry Charlie, the book I'm working on right now, which is what the little sneak peek there was from, that I had kind of left out an important scene, and because I was changing the pacing of it and the chapter structure to be a little, just a little quicker. I've seen a lot of readers talking about really liking shorter chapters, and that one in particular, the original take had longer chapters. So I've kind of, made it a little bit shorter and a little punchier, and moved things along a little differently. So I had accidentally left out an important scene, and I was like, well, do I just leave it out? And I'm like, no, I don't want to leave it out. So I thought, okay, I'll put it later. And then I realized, well, I can't just put it later. I have to have, a little more purpose behind it because some other stuff happens ahead of it now. So, I kind of had to go down the rabbit hole with it of figuring out, like, tapping in and channeling the story of like what actually happens in whatever real universe that all happens in, and figuring it out. And once I figured it out, then I was ready. And now I just got up to chapter 11, like 105 pages into the rewrite, and now I'm kind of moving on it. But I did have a bit of a slowdown on it, and the same with painting, is I kind of had a bit of a slowdown. So I am currently working on a painting. I just, it's, everything kind of just like bowed up a little bit while I was trying to get things, in a more better order, and things working well. And I have, you can't see it from my end, maybe from that video you can, but my computer screen is fucked up, and it shows this weird like red and blue cast at different times. So it makes painting really, really difficult. I'm not sure exactly what the problem is. It's been like that for a really long time. So I don't know. I've like tried to look into it. I really haven't found anything out. So it tends to slow me down when I'm trying to paint, because I'm sitting here fucking with the computer for so long. And my windows of work opportunity are very small as it goes. So I'm hoping that, like, I could just kind of like like ninja brain my way through it and get to where I don't even notice it. But it's like I still definitely notice it. It's very difficult to make it work, but I still do it anyways. So that's it. This last week is just like, wasn't like I wasn't on my normal like production mode. Like it was slowed down a little bit. But like I tend to do this thing where I'm very like robotic about the way that I work anyways, where I could just like go for like weeks at a time with like no breaks, and then maybe this burnout feeling coming up I should do something about. So I kind of I'll slow things down so things don't get messed up too bad. And that's kind of where I was just like, give it a little bit of a breather here. But in terms of the things that I can't say too much about like what like I have like available, because currently because they're weird about it on TikTok, and they will shut my stream down or black it out, and I won't be able to use it, or in that. So I'm trying not to have that happen. But my artwork, and I've got tons of it of all different kinds, is listed on Redbubble, where you can also follow it like a social media. You can find me there. I'm Nicoletta Bides, and that's my handle in some places. Sometimes it's just my name. Sometimes I'm Nicoletta Bides in places. I think that's my Twitter handle. So it's both. You could find me pretty much in any way. But like if you go there, like you will see all of my things on all of the things. And so that's an option. And when you're an indie like me, we really like when you check out our options and check them out. And the same with my books, which are on the place where you do all of the business. So that's pretty much the majority of what I can say at this point without having my stream cut off. Like when it's like they put the like they grab you off stage with the cane and pull you off like that. So like if they think that you're selling something without saying that you're selling something, then they cause you a problem about it. So it super sucks and it's super stupid. But that's basically where I'm at right now. Is I'm working on a couple of books. I'm working on paintings. I'm making the TikTok content going on. So do follow over on the TikTok if you get a chance, because I am trying to raise my profile there and get more people interested, because when you're an indie, you do everything yourself. You don't rely on other people to do that for you. So it can be difficult to get the word out. So I'm making lots of stuff. I'm doing these lives. I'm talking about my books there. I'm talking about my art there, and doing all this other fun stuff. And I'm having a good time doing it, because it takes me back to my my filmmaker roots, but it's stuff that it's kind of much less committed, like between doing like, having to travel across the country and back and do something that's going to be like an hour and a half versus something that's going to be a minute and a half. So that's been something I've been able to kind of abide by a lot better. And I don't have the perfectionist in me has a little bit of a hard time, like, accepting things how they are and how they have to work there. But it's a pretty effective system for making content, and I've been enjoying it pretty well. And so come on over and join me. You can hear about all of my stuff. Very anti AI over there. No AI. And you'll see that, I've got a certain post about it. I just did one with one of my books because there's the Big Bad Wolf. I hadn't started doing this when I wrote Another New World because it really wasn't an issue yet, but I made brand like a brand to put into the front page of my books. And on certain things that, the guarantees it's like 100% human made by human for human. That's what's going on with that. I don't use any form of AI whatsoever, but it has come into question a few times by people because of the fact that my artwork, like my paintings, are so realistic that some, like, they're not photorealism, but they're like a magical realism style. So when I'm doing portraits and, like, people have been like, I looked at this and then I zoomed in on it and I had to see, like, oh no, actually there's paint strokes in this, I can see it. So yeah, so it has come into question a bit, but 100% guarantee to you is absolutely no AI is used in any of my work in any way. I'm firmly against it. If you watch Social Contracts, you will hear that was the main conversation of today, as we were talking about, just in general, because it's infecting everything in every way. I don't need to rehash what we talked about on that. You can go find that. But it's everything in every way is basically being impacted by it. All of the jobs and everybody's quality of life is now completely ruined thanks to out of control billionaire driven AI. And so you're not going to find it in my work. And I preserve the humanity in the arts, right? That's what we're supposed to be doing. Art is for people by people, unless it's like an elephant or something made it. Then it's for people by elephants. But that counts too, I think. Yeah. So yeah, when you're the point I was making though, I'll come back around. I'm quite circumloquacious, if you haven't noticed. So I will say things as I think of them, but. I am doing a little bit of recapping, trying to remember, like, what are some things that I said in the past episodes, and what do I need to say, like, to kind of bring things up to the present. Plus, like, as more people join and watch, like, what do they know, what do they don't know, and I do like to talk to the chat, when I get the chance to. So feel free to send me a message. I'll talk to you, but. Basically, as an indie, you do things your own self, and there's benefits and there's positives and negatives to it, because, like, obviously you get all that control, but then you have all the control, so that you have to be the one to do all the work and do all the legwork in that. And that is not something I love. I don't love marketing. I don't love, like, the pitching, the selling, and that kind of thing. That's not my favorite thing. I want to just sit around and make things, but I also want my autonomy, and I also want to make sure that I am always going to have the final say on what happens, because for instance, I design my own covers, being an artist and a designer and a writer. I paint them. My Another New World is painted and designed, and Big Bad Wolf is a photo with and designed for cover. So it's all my own stuff. And in the case of the Big Bad Wolf, there are clues in the cover that you will that connect to the story. So I wouldn't have that opportunity if I was working with an agency per se or a publisher. That I would effectively be selling them what I had for them to do. Fuck all to it. And only people at the very top that even make any money out of any of this stuff, that they have any say so in any of that kind of thing. So that is a very big benefit that I get from being an indie, and that I will never give up on. Yeah, again, you can check out all my stuff and my things, and it's easy to find it, but the best way is probably through just going to the TikTok, following the TikTok stuff. Something that I think is pretty fun. Obviously, I'm doing like the angling towards wanting to see the books adapted ultimately for the screen and in some way. I not necessarily like movies. I'm like a big TV fan, so I would love it to see like Big Bad Wolf as like just a regular, release, streamer release, or as a film or miniseries, something like that, and then going forward from there, because I have a very visual style of writing. I want Apple TV. That's my thing. I'm putting it out there. I'm saying it, manifesting it. It's happening. It's gonna happen. But I want Apple TV to acquisition the Big Bad Wolf big time. And I get a lot of feedback about that because people, they either say it to me privately, or they'll post about it, or they'll leave a like feedback or something. And then it's always like, oh, well, this would make a great movie. I would love to see this as a movie. Yeah, yeah, that's the idea. You got it. Good job, bro. Like you figured it out. Like that's what I'm trying to do here. Because that's like I have a very visual style. Like I see it as I write it, and then I visualize it, and then or channel it, as I should say. I channel it from whatever universe it's coming from, and then I get it down on the page. And but I do that in a way that it's like, like it's like it creates a mental picture, and that kind of thing. So like when I get feedback like that, it's really exciting for me because I'm like, yes, I did it. You picked up what I was putting down. Here we go. That's pretty excellent for me. So yeah, if you were reading my stuff and like, that's what you're supposed to be taking away from it. It was already intended to be that way. And that's how I want it to be. And I go so far as I can't remember if I've talked about this recently or not, but I talked about it at least in some of the old broadcasts that didn't really work out too well, but I will go over it again a little bit. So I'll try not to do any spoilers, but if you've read The Big Bad Wolf, you might know this already or have heard me say this already, but I do I'll use that as an example, but just through everything I write, I will, at different points, I will put, I will think about, uh, like casting, like mental casting, who I would put in these roles. And then I kind of build the character around that, or like, again, like the hubris of I come up with, like, no, the channeling of it. I'm sure that's what's going on anyways. But, oh, hey, Nathan. Thank you so much. He says, The Big Bad Wolf was one of the most engaging books that I've read and never read. So thank you so much. And one of the most of it. I really appreciate that kind of feedback. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going for. I appreciate you. I appreciate you checking it out and saying such kind words about it. It's really cool of you. My whole thing is just that just to the way I do it is I want you to see it the way I see it without trying to be like too intrusive as the author and too controlling as in the story. And I found that it's pretty divisive because some people are like, this is really good. I really enjoy it. Had a great time. Super cool. Other people are like, fuck this book. So I don't know. Like there's really no way. Like I had this naive idea like early on, like, oh, I will go and I will look at the feedback and maybe this will help me down in my writer's journey, help me figure things out as I go. And it's like, no, nothing like that at all. Like there is like nothing I could take away from it, because if the people who enjoyed it, like they got what I was, going for, the people who did not. So that's basically like where I ultimately have landed with that. It's like, this is I'm not for everyone, is what I've come to find out here. But just as a fun little, aside here is to kind of give you kind of a look into what I'm doing. And again, I can't remember if I mentioned this in the last couple of weeks or not, but if I did, apologies if you've heard this, or stop me if you heard this one about this. But I do picture the characters as like maybe a certain actor or even a certain character from something else. Like I will do that too, like because that really gives me the ability to work around like how they move, what they say, like how I want it conveyed. So it's like what I use, the scheme of what I use to create, for myself to understand it is what ultimately is like for you to understand it. But I also don't tend to go heavy on character descriptions and things like that, because I want you to be able to visualize them however you see fit, what works for you the best, like what you like the most, like what stands out to you. I'll say if somebody's tall or if they're blonde or something like that, but I tend not to, we're not going to read 4 pages about somebody's eyelashes. Okay. Like I am way too impatient for that kind of shit. And I don't like when thing, authors that get so controlling about what they want you to know. Like, you are the one reading it. You are the one reading it for fun, so you should get to interpret it however you like. I'm hoping to get to the stage here where everybody starts shipping my characters and making them all gay. That's what I want like the most. I love that kind of like fan engagement. I don't like bad fandoms that fight over everything. That's really annoying. But I do love it when when fan art starts turning up and stuff like that. And I have seen a little bit here's and there's, but I've seen some good cover bedazzlings of my book, so that's been fun. Anyway, if I could stay on point for like 1 second here, I do to visualize, use visual markers for myself about when I'm thinking about casting. And I also don't, as per my writing style, unless I'm limited by time, which is the Big Bad Wolf, it takes place in 1975 and 1985, so can't really deviate too much from that. But like in my other stuffs, I'm very much into genre mixing and era mixing, so that's just kind of how my mind works on these things. So when I'm thinking about who I would, I'm picturing in the roles, and I didn't talk about this for a really long time because I didn't want to influence people too much. The as in how they saw it, because again that starts fights with a lot of people as well, and I just want people to enjoy the stuff, not fight over it. But it's supposed to be fun. But the idea here is that like when the main character that kind of holds everything together is in the 1985 timeline, and that's a man named Brady Monroe, and he's the guy that kind of figures out what happened in the murder in the 1975, and there's dual timelines in this story. So when I originally conceived this, and again last year, it came out into last year, and that was like the 20th year that I've been working on it, not consistently, but it did start in screenplay form in 2005, and I worked it until I get to its final form up to this point. So it took a really long time to actually get there. But when from the beginning, I really had this mental image of Tom Berenger from like his Last of the Dogmen era, like kind of like again, every guy, like older, a little bit older. But Brady is 50 years old in the time of the story, and he is a capable dude, like somebody that you would trust, a family guy, a capable guy, somebody you would trust, with this story to handle this story that just ultimately happens to him in his life and takes over his life. And then he ends up, when he starts to find out, uncover what happened, to the college students where they were murdered, and it gets unleashed on him and his family unknowingly. Like that's, you want somebody who feels like a capable person that, could carry it through. But, obviously like that era of Tom Berenger doesn't exist anymore. So were it to be made today, like that couldn't happen. But then, it really started to gravitate towards the idea, like, I don't spend tons of time thinking about this, but it does sort of like come up to me, right? If something pops into my mind. But somebody I would love to see in that role would be David Harbour. I would love to see him take that role. And not because he played Hopper in 1985, it would be a totally different guy, but like just like his look and his build and like his demeanor is really like who I'm looking for. Nathan says he reminds me of my stepdad. Yeah, that's what I wanted. I want people to be able to put people in those roles of how they felt like them. But to me, like it started off as like a Tom Berenger thing, and then now I kind of can't not see David Harbour playing that. So if I get to, when I'm president and I get to make the rules, like I'm seeking him out and I'm making him star in my my production. But and that's also kind of like when you write for young characters, like college age students, like the idea of those people change again and again and again and again. Like years ago, I guess what's this, 2026? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And then I had to think about it. But 10 years ago, I made this fake trailer out of movie clips for it. And then I used, images of Jeff Bridges from around the same era, like from Arlington Road, in the Brady role. So I could have easily seen him there in that as well. Because, who doesn't love Jeff Bridges? But again, that couldn't happen now. But then I also at the time, and that trailer does exist out there. I post it from time to time. There's a couple of little questionable things in there that weren't questionable at the time. But, I saw different people in the college aged roles at that time, archetypally, that again, that was made a long time ago. So those, that doesn't really, translate to now, but you can see that, in the thing. But there's also the character of, the Edward Kyle character, which is, who they ultimately, come up against, as the foil of the story. Like he is his appearance shifts throughout the entire story. He appears like in four different ways in four different, times. And when I originally conceived him, like as the students conceive him and how they envision him, I always pictured him as this Bob Hoskins, type of a guy. But not like Bob Hoskins, like gangster Bob Hoskins, like when he was starting out, but like later, like to American viewers, like how Americans, like, I think the funniest thing about him is like he made his career, like he's a British actor, if you don't know who he is, but in the 70s, 80s, he made his career as being like one of like the worst like gangsters, like the terrifying gangsters. So like you have whole generations of people growing up with him in Britain being like one of the most terrifying figures in movies. And then he comes to America and he starts making some of the most beloved like children's movies, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Hook. And like, so he becomes like a beloved child's figure over here. And yet in Britain, he's like a nightmare. So I think that's really funny, but I'm talking about like the American version of it. I always pictured Edward Kyle in his base form as Bob Hoskins. So there's kind of where my mind went. And then later, as the story evolves, and I'm trying not to give too much away, but as the story evolves and you see, Hannah's version of him, or how he appears to Hannah, it's completely different. He's a very large man, very handsome, longer hair, that kind of thing. So I kind of saw that sort of like as a Ben Robeson kind of type character. And then later he evolves into kind of this scary kind of person, like kind of very threatening. And I for a while, and this is in the trailer too, for a while I kind of saw him as like kind of a Jason Statham looking type, threatening, menacing character on that. But I think he's kind of become a little too cutesy when he comes to mind. And then so that's kind of where my head was at, where those characters were coming from, and how that all kind of came together. So that's a little bit of an insight into just kind of where I come from when I'm doing these things. Like I do kind of picture things, and then sometimes it'll be based around a character of a something, and something else. I'll tell it another time, probably 100 more times. I'm not going to get into it now, but and sorry Charlie, there is a character that's based on Sam Winchester, like not Jared Padalecki, but Sam Winchester. So like, and sometimes it's a visual thing, sometimes it's like how a delivery thing and that kind of stuff. So like there is, and it doesn't have to be, everybody doesn't have to be represented, but it does, like, that's just part of how I work and what I do. So when I get this feedback, like, oh yeah, it's very visual, it's very cinematic, it's like a movie, good. Like that's what I was trying to do. So that's where I am in the process. And then right now I'm working on, sorry Charlie, I don't have an ETA for it yet. I wanted to get it out by the end of the year. Don't think that's going to happen. There's just simply too much to do. And now that I'm also painting and doing TikTok things and everything else in life, my time is very, very thin. So every minute counts with this, and I'm running from thing to thing to thing all the time. So I'm trying to get it all out, and I am still talking, I will be talking about that stuff there in video form. These things, the lives do get posted there as well. So, that's probably going to be, if nobody's on Tumblr, I'm OG Tumblr. So like I'm there, you can find me there. It's my name. I'm also Million Movie Project. I've been there 200 years. I'm never leaving. They will have to throw me out when they close the doors. But the fact of it is that like nobody else is there. It's like the last website on the internet. Like it's the last place. It's the haunted forest of the internet, right? Like you have to know what you're doing when you go there. So like that's where I'm most active, and you're going to see like the most updates about what's going on and sort of the intricacies in the story and the process of what's going on. And then so it updates, and as soon as I do something or get excited, I immediately like fire something off over there and with some gifts and things like that. But that is coming as soon as I can get it out. Thanks again. Thank you, Nathan, for saying he's excited to get that one. I appreciate that. So that's what's up. And you can follow me there, but I try to be as active as I possibly can on TikTok. And as I'm trying to, because that's where everybody is. Like, you have billions of people on that website. So I'm trying to, use the writer talk, the book talk kind of situation, the art talk. I'm trying to get in it. They're always prompting me. They're like, go live. I'm like, I do all the time. You're just telling me at the wrong times. And then it'll send me a prompt and it'll be like, do this trending thing. And I'm like, fuck. Like, I don't know. I'm not good at being trendy. I never have been a good person at doing trends. So I'm trying to like keep those things in mind, but it's like by the time I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do one, and it's like nobody's doing that anymore. And I'm like, I'm gonna do one, or it'll send me a little note and it's like, you wanna like post a picture or something? I'm like, I guess I could do that or whatever. So sometimes if the content's weird, it's because I'm trying to figure shit out. and I don't really speak TikTok. I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't really know what some of the stuff does, so I'm working on it. But I think we've probably heard enough from me on this day. So yeah, if you want to check out our main show, that's called Social Contract. That's on at 1 p.m. on oh geez, it's on live at 1 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and Twitch. And then but the archive, you can watch all the episodes, all the past episodes on YouTube, the same YouTube, and on Rumble. They're backed up on Rumble. And then I come here now, and I'm on TikTok and YouTube live together at about 2:30ish, depending on how long the other show runs and what's going on. So, and the next week again, I'm hosting solo, so you can come and hang out. So, thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for your comments, and I appreciate getting to do this, and I'm glad everything is actually working again and moving in a cohesive direction. So I will see you all next week and making sure hopefully everything works again and we don't have a storm doing any crazy action. So take care, everybody. I'll see you soon. Bye.